Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Genius Knowledge Point, your go-to place for practical programming solutions for diploma, computer and IT students. If you are stuck on any practical assignment or just want to learn how to solve programs step by step, then you are in the right place. The main purpose of making this video is to provide practical knowledge to all diploma students so that they can develop their own programs which will be helpful for their future. In this video, we are going to see practical number 20 of object-oriented programming, which is under Diploma, Computer and IT, third semester and case scheme. So this practical is write a programs to overload binary operators using member function or friend function. So in the previous practical, we have seen that what is operator overloading, then how to overload operators, and that was regarding unary operators. So in this practical, we are going to use binary operator. So what is the difference between unary operator and binary operator? The unary operator is working on single operand, like unary minus, so a minus, then a minus minus. Here a is the single operand, so that's why they are called unary operator. But in this practical we are going to use binary operators. So binary operators are having two operands, like a plus b, a minus b. So these are the binary operators. Why? Because there are two operands, a and b. So this is the basic concept behind these binary operators, and main concept behind operator overloading is same, that we are going to use operators on objects. Generally we can use operators on our mathematical expression or logical expression. So that is automatically done by the compiler. So whenever we are writing any addition, subtraction, that is done by compiler. But whenever we are adding two objects, that is not done by the compiler. So for that purpose we have to provide the coding for that operation. So that is called operator overloading. We are redefining the meaning of operators so that we can use them for our objects. So this is the main concept of operator overloading, and that is done by coding. So let us move to the questioning part. So in the exercise related questions, there are no questions given as regarding program generation. So they are just code is given in the manual. You have to copy that code, then paste it into the compiler and run that code, and you have to write the output. So those are not related to program generation. So in the practical related questions, these are the programming questions. So first question is, write a C++ program to add two complex numbers using operator overloading by friend function. So we have to add two complex numbers, and for addition we have to overload a plus operator, that is a binary operator, because we have two complex numbers, so it will be a binary operator. So moving toward the coding part directly. Initially both the files, header files are included. Then I am creating class complex. So this will represent a complex number. So as you know, in mathematics, complex number is represented by a real part and imaginary part. So for that purpose I am taking two integers as a real and img. So these are the properties of complex number. Real will be storing real value and img will be storing imaginary part. So these are the member variables. Then inside a public section I am defining a method void accept to accept the complex number properties, that is real part and imaginary part. So I am entering messages and accepting real and img as a variables. Then accept function is done. Moving toward the display function. Inside display function I am displaying the complex number as a real, then attaching plus, then attaching img, that is imaginary part, then attaching I. So this will look like a plus bi. So this is how complex number is represented in mathematics. Similarly, I have formatted the output so that it will look like a mathematical complex number. So the number is printed here using display function. Then I have closed the display function. Then as we have to overload the operator, that is plus operator for addition, so we have to use a friend function. So I am declaring a friend function here. Friend is the keyword. Then complex number is the return type. Why it is complex? Because addition of two complex numbers will be returning a complex number, so that's why return type will be complex. Then operator plus is the function statement. So this is the plus operator we are overloading, and this is the keyword. Then inside parameters I am passing two values, that is again a complex number. So complex comma complex. So this is the declaration part, and this represents that I am passing two complex objects here. So that will be the function declaration as a friend function. Then after that I am closing the class. Now I am defining the operator function, that is complex, this is the return type. Then operator plus is the function statement. Then complex x and complex y, these are the actual parameters that I am passing here. In declaration there is no need to pass parameters, but while defining you have to pass the parameters so that you can work on those parameters. Next, inside the definition I am taking complex C, this is the answer part. So whatever the addition I am doing, that addition will be stored into this C object. So this is the temporary object I am creating, which will be working as the answer. So I am calculating as C.real, that is the real part of this complex object, is equal to x.real plus y.real. So what I am doing here, I am calculating this C variable's real part as first parameter's real value plus second parameter's real value. So whatever the real values we have entered for two complex numbers, that will be added, that will stored into C's real value. Similarly, I am calculating imaginary part as C.img is equal to x.img plus y.img. So again I am taking the same statement. So first parameters imaginary part plus second parameters imaginary part, that will be added, and the answer will be stored into imaginary part of the C. So we have a new complex number C that is having real part and imaginary part, and that is storing the addition of both the complex numbers. So finally, as our function is returning a complex object, so we have to return this C object so that it will go outside the function. So this is how the function definition will be, and inside that we have done addition using coding. So this is how we have defined a function and we have done addition using the coding, and which is returning a complex number as a return value. So finally the function definition is complete. Now moving toward the main function, initially clearing the output screen, then I am creating objects of complex class. So complex C1, C2, C3. These are the three objects, out of which two will be our input value, and inside third we will be accepting as a output or addition. So first I am entering message enter complex number 1, and I am running C1.accept, so it will accept the real and imaginary values, and that will be inside C1's variables. Then I am again writing the same statement complex number 2 and calling C2.accept method, so it will accept the real part and imaginary part for C2 object. Now I am writing the operator statement, that is C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. So this is how the complex addition will be done, and while calling this C1 plus C2 we have defined the operator plus, so this definition will run here. So if you see the output or the compiler statement, how it will run, C3 is equal to C1 dot operator plus so it will write C3 is equal to operator plus, in bracket it will write C1 as the first parameter comma C2 as the second parameter. This is how it will run inside the compiler. C3 is equal to operator plus, so this is the function is equal, and parameters will be passed as C1 and C2. So C1's value will be taken into X, C2's value will be taken into Y, then it will do the addition and it will return C. So this C part which is returning, that will be stored into C3. So C3 is having addition of C1 and C2. So this is how the code will run inside the compiler, and this is how we write the code in while writing our code. So the addition is done here and the answer is stored into C3. Now I am just printing a message complex number 3, and I am calling C3.display. So whatever the addition is done inside C3, that will be displayed here. in front of this message. This is how the code will run. So I am just copying the entire code, going to compiler, pasting the code. Now running the code. So it is asking me to enter complex number 1. First it is asking me to enter real part. So I am taking 5, then imaginary part as 8, then real part of second complex number I am taking 7, and imaginary part as 3. You can see the complex number 3 has generated here, and it has calculated as real parts of the both complex numbers is added, and it has showing 12, which is the addition of 5 and 7. And similarly, the imaginary part of both the complex numbers is added, 8 and 3, which is showing as 11. So this is how third complex number is calculated and displayed here. So this is how you can overload a binary operator as a plus operator. We have overloaded it, and we have done addition using our coding, and the result is displayed here. So this is how first question is ended. Now the second question is, write a C++ program to subtract two complex numbers using operator overloading by using member function. So in this program we have to subtract two complex numbers, and in previous program we have added two complex number, but we have added it using friend function. But here friend function is not given, so we have to use the member function. So the function definition will be inside the class only, because whenever the function is created as a friend function, its definition is outside the class, because it is a friend of the class. It is not a member function, but it is a friend of the class. But here we have to use the member function, so the function definition of the operator will be inside the class. So let us see the code. So initially I have included both the header files. Then similar to previous question, I have defined a class complex. Inside that I am again taking the same variables as the real and imaginary variables, which will be the properties of complex numbers. Then inside public section defining the same method, that is void accept, accepting both the real and imaginary values, that is real part and imaginary part of the complex number. And again defining same method similar to previous question, which is void display, and displaying the real and imaginary part of the complex number using the formatting like real plus img I. So it will look like a complex number a plus bi. So the display function is completed. Now as the question is given, we don't have to use the friend function. So what we will do, we have to create the operator function inside the complex class. So for that purpose, as it is not a friend function, I am not using friend keyword here, but the return type should be there, because it will be returning a value. So the subtraction of two complex number will be a third complex number, that's why returning complex. Then this is the function statement of operator. Operator is the keyword and minus is my operator. In the inside bracket I am passing a single parameter. Why I am passing single parameter here? Because this function is the member function, so it will be called on the object of the class, and operand will be second parameter and object. So whenever I am calling this function, the object of the class on which I am calling, that will be the first operand, and the second operand will be the parameter that is passed inside this bracket. So this is how we are doing binary operation using two operands. So this is how the definition statement will be. Then inside definition I am creating same statement as a complex C, which is the answer complex. Then C dot real is equal to real minus x dot real. So what it will do, the real of the object on which it is called minus parameter's real value. So that subtraction will be done, and the answer will be stored into C's real value. So the object's real part will be calculated, and that will be stored into C. Similarly, the imaginary part of the object, and that is subtracted from parameters imaginary part, and that subtraction will be stored into C's imaginary part. And finally I am returning C as the answer, because our return type is a complex. So this is how the operator statement will be completed. Then class is closed here. Moving toward the main function. So inside main first clearing the output screen. Then I am creating objects of complex class, that is C1, C2 and C3, out of which 2 objects will be our input values, that is 2 complex numbers, and third complex number will be calculated as subtraction of these 2. So this is how the subtraction will be done. Then I am putting a message to enter complex number 1. Then using accept method, I am accepting the real and imaginary part for C1. So C1.accept will run this code and it will accept the real and img for C1. Similarly for C2, I am entering message and accepting using C2.accept. So both the complex numbers are accepted here. Now I am calling the operator function as C3 is equal to C1 minus C2. So inside programming or inside compiler, how it will run? C3 is equal to C1 dot operator minus C2. So this is how the function will be called. C1 will be my first parameter or first operand, and C2 will be second operand. And according to our definition, C1's real minus x dot real, that means C2's real will be subtracted and that will be stored into C3's real. Similarly for imaginary part. So this is how the subtraction will be done and the answer will be stored into C3. So now we have subtracted and stored it into C3. Now it is time to display the result. So I am just putting a message complex number 3 and I am calling the display method on C3 object. So what it will do? It will display the result as this format. So this is how you will get the output as a C3, and finally getch is there to hold the output screen and closing the main function, and the coding is also completed. So selecting entire code, copying the code, then pasting the code into compiler, going to debug and running the code. So I am entering first complex number, so real part I am taking 5, imaginary part as 8. Then for second complex number I am taking 9 as real part and 7 as imaginary part. If you see, the output is generated as 5 and 9 are subtracted, so that will be the -4, and 8 and 7 are subtracted, that will be the +1. So this is how complex number 3 is calculated using operator overloading. Whatever coding we have done inside operator function, that has run properly and it is displaying the complex number 3 as our format is, that is a plus bi is our format. So this is how we have done binary operation on complex numbers, and second question is ended. Now the third question is write a C++ program to compare two strings using double equal to operator, that is equal to operator overloading. So in this question the friend function is not given, so we will be using member function, and double equal to operator is given, that we have to overload, and the operation is done on two string values. So let us move to the coding part. Initially I am including both the header files and I am creating a class as a compare. So class space compare, this is the class name. Then inside that I am declaring array of character as a str. So this is the string value and I am size taking as a 50. Then inside public section I am defining a method void accept to accept this string. So this is the message, and using scene I am accepting the string value. Then to do comparison we have to overload double equal to operator. So this will be the operator overloading statement. How I am doing it? I am returning integer value, because whenever we are comparing two strings, that will be returning a 0 or non-zero value. So if the strings are equal, it will return 0. So that's why I am taking integer here. Then operator keyword, then equal to is the operator. Then inside parameter I am passing second operand. So the object on which I am calling this function or this operator, that will be first operand, and the second parameter will be second operand. So this is how I am doing two operands. Next, inside definition I am taking int c is equal to, so this is the calculation, is equal to strcmp. So this is the string function strcmp, and inside bracket I am passing str comma x dot str. What it will do, object string value comma the parameter string value, that will be compared, and as you know strcmp is having either 0 or non-zero as a return value. So it will return 0 if the two strings are equal, and it will return non-zero value if the two strings are not equal. So the C will be having 0 or non-zero value. So this is the output variable. So I am comparing it. If C is double equal to 0, then I am returning 0 because our operator function is having integer return type. So I am returning 0 here, else I am returning 1 here. So this is how the operator function will be executed. So next, the operator function is closed here. Now I am moving toward the main function, closing the class. Then inside main I am clearing the output screen. Then I am creating two objects of compare class, that is C1 and C2. These will be the two string values. So for C1 I am entering string 1 as a message. Then using C1.accept I am accepting string inside C1. Similarly for C2 I am accepting strings for C2. So this is how both the strings are accepted and stored there and stored into their respective objects. Now I am calling the function as inside if statement. I am calling this function inside a bracket. So this will be the operator statement, and as it will generate some output, so I have enclosed it inside a round bracket. So C1 is equal to C2 will run this statement, and C1 will be the object on which I am calling this function, and C2 will be this parameter. So this is how the comparison will be done, and it will return either 0 or non-zero value. So if it returning 0, that means if this statement is equal to 0, the if will run and it will display strings are equal message. And if the comparison is done and it has returned non-zero value, that means it has returned 1 here. So it will go to else part and it will display strings are not equal. So this is how we have compared two strings, and those strings are using objects of the class compare. So this is how we have compared two objects, and after that comparison we have generated either strings are equal this message or strings are not equal as a message. So the if statement is complete, and finally getch is there to hold the output screen, and finally closing the main function and program. So selecting entire code, copying the code, then going to compiler, pasting the code and running the code. So it is asking me to enter string 1. I am entering ABC, and again I am entering ABC as the second string. So if you see, the output is generated as strings are equal because both the strings are equal now. Now I am running the same program again, going to debug and running the program. I am entering ABC as the first string and EQR as the second string. So the output is generated as strings are not equal. So our program is generating correct output according to our inputs. So this is how we can overload double equal to operator, and we have run this operator for two objects of the class, and we have compared two strings inside the class object. So this is how the operator overloading is done here, and also the question is ended, and the practical number 20 is also ended, which was having binary operator overloading using member function as well as friend function. So we have done it properly, and all the programs are executed properly, and the question and practical number is complete. So that's it for today's practical. I hope this helped you understand the solution clearly. Code for this practical is available at the link given in the description. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more such diploma level programming solutions. If you have any doubts or need solutions for other programs, drop a comment below. I will be happy to help, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching and happy coding.